Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Ed. Today we're talking about Mountain Valley MD, going with the ticker MVMD on the OTC market. I'm going to go towards what we know about this one, at least so far, and then technical analysis. So let's jump right into this one. So they define themselves as changing the world by making the best vaccines, pharmaceuticals, and nutraceuticals better. Now we move on a bit towards the presentation because what else better than to go a little bit in depth into that from the presentation itself. Now from the presentation, MVMD is a biotech company in the business of repurposing and reformulating existing medicine and non-medical compounds, drugs, vaccines, nutraceuticals. MVMD has an enhanced end-to-end supply chain value proposition encompassing the formulation, stabilization, storage, solubility, and unique delivery methods of the compounds. The extrapolations of these technologies across vaccines and drug has the potential to positively impact human and animal health globally. MVMD offers licensing partnerships by technology, by molecules, and by market for pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals companies. Now, the MVMD streamlined commercialization approach is a bit different than the general pharmaceutical companies. Now, the new drug discoveries usually take anywhere from around, on average, more than 12 years to get the approval. Meanwhile, the average on repurposing drugs, which is similar to what MVMD is trying to do, is anywhere between 12 to 14 months. Now, only around one compound gets FDA approval per anywhere between 5,000 to 10,000 compounds. Meanwhile, repurposing drugs does have higher potential of FDA approvals. Now, the costs go anywhere between $500 million to more than $1 billion to develop a market-ready drug. Meanwhile, repurposing drugs would cost anywhere between $1 million to $10 million for market-ready drugs. Now, the basic science and research goes on 2 to 5 years on the general market, preclinical testing 1 to 2 years, and clinical trials around 9 years, and FDA approvals anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. Now, repurposing drugs, the entire process takes anywhere from 13 months to 27 months. Now, going a little bit further, you're looking into more than 20 years proven efficacy on humans and animals, faster to market, simplified approval, intellectual properties are also retained, and renewed rights for generic drugs, cost saving, increased probabilities, lower risks, and increased efficiency and efficacy. Now, MVMD's patented technology goes on 3 main parts. Quicksome, rapid and powerful. So MVMD leverages existing approved vaccines, drugs, and nutraceuticals, and uses technology to improve and delivery to the body. The Quicksome enhanced solubility. So kind of almost a similar thing, but it's more regarding to cyclic lactone drugs and enhance their solubility. And you also have the dose-sparing adjuvant, which is a vaccine typical use an aluminum-based adjuvant to trigger an improved immunogenic response. Now we go a little bit onto some of the basic details regarding each of these technologies. But if we go even further down below, you're able to see some, for instance, of the examples on how they make some of these drugs better. For instance, you have ivermectin, which is presently an MVMD, is an advanced science with solubilities or solubilized ivermectin for indication including COVID-19, malaria, cancer, head lice, dengue, Zika, and yellow fever, and a host of husbandry parasitic control applications. Now for castics, the ability of that is to modulate immune response, paves its path to an adjacent or an adjuvant for cancer therapeutics. Now, solubilized ivermectin can now be administered more of a intramorally, intraversally via infusion and or instillation. And so we get to see some kind of case studies that they do show, or almost in examples, and they do move on with a little bit of their teams, their experiences, etc. But from here, you get to see that they do have some revenue and exit opportunities. Currently, they're a public traded company. It got uplisted to the Toronto Stock Exchange on July 2021. That's kind of the deadline or kind of target there. global licensing by molecule, by market, and sale of technology by various sectors. They're based in Canada, specifically in the Vaughan or Toronto area, specifically actually Concord, but it is part of the Greater Toronto area. Now, we move on a little bit further to some of their pipeline, and we see their pipeline is quite extensive in general. You get to see multiple pinpoints in terms of the pipelines are there in terms of where you can expect PRs, but there is definitely an extensive pipeline still going down there. So you can see we can expect a lot of different news coming in from their pipelines at almost any given time. Now, when it comes in towards media release, you start seeing some of that. For instance, as well, they do have an event coming up, or at least they announced that on May 21st. So that event coming up will be hosted at May 26th, 2021 on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to watch that, feel free to do so. You can go ahead and sign up through the link under the media release. Now, another thing here is you get to see that they are very active in terms of coming into PRs. For instance, they received successful results from BSL-4 COVID-19 clearance trial on 3 variants tested with Invectisol. And you get to see some of the details here. For instance, a single dose of the 2.5 milligram per kilogram of that Invectisol was effective by interfering with viral replication and driving viral clearance of the B117 COVID-19 variants. Tests done in vitro shows the same antiviral effect of 5 Invectisol concentration after 24 hours. Again, after 48 hours, all 3 COVID variants tested: the original B117 variants, the South African, and the Brazilian variants. And you get to see other as well news that they do have. For instance, they did give an update on some of the recent trials, and you get to see that there is quite an extensive ones that are working on, mainly in cold chain, biosafety, level 4 COVID-19 clearance, dose pairing adjuvants, and husbandry animals in oncology. Now, there is some information there they do have, but I'm not going to go in details. But you can definitely take a look into their pipeline, and you should expect a lot of PRs to come that way. Now, a little bit further, you do see a bit more information on their investor page, but we're going to move on now towards technical analysis. When we go towards the technical analysis point of view, what we're seeing here on the 1 week perspective is that the MACD here is going a bit more towards the negative side, which indicates more of a slip in price this week, as we get to see with a massive red candle. 30 EMA is above the 10 SMA, which is bearish, but the price point 50 SMA, which is a very critical line, is sitting currently somewhere around the 46-cent level. Now, when we look into the willing percent R, which is similar to the RSI, now that's a relative strength index, you're looking that it is highly oversold. It's more of these kind of indicators give you a sense on what's going on, not what's going to come up ahead. I'll tell you what I think about the stock in a bit, but you get to see that it's a little bit mixed, because that kind of news is a little bit different on the 1 day perspective. For instance, 10 SMA is above the 30 EMA on the 1 day perspective. The 50 SMA is above the 200 SMA on the 1 day perspective, which are both bullish, but the price point is below all these averages, which is bearish. Now, the current MACD is stabilizing, showing more of a price point that is being held rather than continuously dropping, which is a good thing, but currently it looks like it's almost in an accumulation phase. But don't get very comfortable, because it looks like it does that every now and then and drops down. We need to look a little bit into the stochastic fast and stochastic slow, which both suggest that they're very close to the next support level. The moving average band or Bollinger Band suggests that on the top it's going to trade 93 cents and in the bottom 46 cents. And on the Fibonacci retracements, what you're seeing here is that there is a significant resistance level at the 51 cents, 80 cents, 103, 126, 159, and a $2. But a quick important thing to do is to do the price line actions and try to pinpoint historical averages and supports and resistances. The current very strong support is at 46 cents, following by 37 cents, 29 cents, and then 20 cents. Significant resistances, and there's a strong few. 58 cents is currently more off a wall there. 61 cents, 72, we're jumping up to around 85, going to 93, 105, starts jumping a little bit forwards to 121, 135, 159, then upwards to 172, and then $2. Comes to the question to Ed, what do you think about this one? We definitely took a look at technical analysis. We definitely took a little bit about who they are. Now, with OTCs, fundamentals become a little bit tricky, but with almost all pharmaceuticals, there is one problem, and they do highlight it. I run a lot of money with a lot of a smaller possibility of it succeeding. And they're absolutely true. And you think that that is massive possibility. Now, in my opinion, I think that they are onto something. I'm not sure with the amount of money they have and everything basically they do have in their history and experience. Are they going to be able to pull this up, or is it just more of a nice concept to get around? Now, the chart itself, you see massive volumes around here, over here, but the chart is almost looking like it goes up and down in different times depending on just different jumps or different hypes that you get throughout the years. And so expect for it to continue to trade a little bit with volatility for at least the next few months or few years, but it will probably, based on what we see from the previous chart, see other jumps and higher highs again once more and kind of trade sideways back, and it's almost tradable when you look at the charts. But again, it's a bit of a risky play, at least in my books. What do you think about this ticker? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like, and have a wonderful day. Now, if you made it this far into the video, I do recommend that you go ahead and join our Discord server. There's a lot of amazing folks in here. We do a lot of discussions here into the trading floor throughout the day. A lot of people are in there, and we do ask questions. You can ask me any question you would like on there. We do post research and DDs, and we hold weekly chat sessions. And we also do have a lounge in there. So make sure to actually join that and join the fun there. Have a wonderful day and a good one.